this session. So for Bina and Freeman, it won't give you a notification that I'm recording. So just so that you know that I am recording this screen, okay? Just so that we've got a record for other people that haven't been able to be here today. Okay, so before we start, so just to Matt, thank you for joining us today. Matt is our guest speaker today, and he's going to be sharing a little bit on coding. And Bina, I haven't had any contact with you in your school yet, so I'm going to look you up and hope that we can connect, especially in the coding and robotics topic. We'd love to connect with you from the Penreach side, if we're not already, but just for coding and robotics, that would be great. And Freeman, we're very involved at your school, hey? So it's nice to see you here. And I'm glad everybody's, the two of you have been able to join us today. And it's been a bit of a crazy year, as was last year, but we're doing the best we can, hey? And so well done to you for being so committed to change, to learning, to knowing more. So without me waffling anymore, I'm going to hand over to Matt, who will be doing... Matt, do you want me to show the eLearn platform first, or do you want to go ahead and I can do that at the end?
I think maybe you should just do the e-learning platform first, and then I can just go through my stuff after you. That's okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. And then I'm going to go to, you'll see me on about 4 different devices here. I've got about 4 screens in front of me, just so that I can keep an eye on who's here and who's on the chat and whatever. Otherwise, when I share my screen, I can't see anybody else. So this is the eLearn platform. So if you haven't seen it yet, I encourage you to please just click on the link that's in the invite. That's on the calendar invite that I've sent you. It's on the WhatsApp group. Just go to that link. And then I'm going to move my screen very slowly because I can see it's changing slowly on my side. So you just keep scrolling up until you get to the screen that to the options of Learner Hub, Teacher Hub, Knowledge Hub. So the Learner Hub is where is our students. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, we have linked up with St. Stithians, the Tandilwazi project, and that is the Learner Hub for the Tandilwazi project that we're part of. So that's the learner, that's the children, the learners up to matric that are part of that. And then what we are doing today is the Teacher and Practitioner Hub, so that's us. And then, so you're going to go to login. So you click on login, and then it's going to give you a login screen like this. And then you're going to use your ID number that you registered with Penreach. So your ID number, so mine is 7305, so the 12 digits of your ID number. You use exactly the same ID number for your, it's just giving you mine. So you use exactly the same username, password, and then you log in. Okay, so I'm just going to see, I'm going to go ahead and log in with mine, which might not be exactly the same as yours, what you see, but when it logs in, you should see the course that you've registered for. Okay. There are a couple of people that may not have registered for STEAM, but registered for coding and robotics, and there's some people also that registered for chess. So we've merged all three into one. So in STEAM in the classroom, we will cover all three topics in this group because we needed to have obviously our numbers are a little bit down this year with COVID and everybody being a little bit scared of the gatherings. But yeah, so online, and it just keeps getting better and better. We've got to start somewhere, and I think the online way is the way the world's going. So yeah, you should see your course there. Go into your course, so click on it. Just see if it's changed on your side. Just wait for the screen to change. Has it changed on your side? Yep. Okay, and then you will see what it says here, modules. And then you'll see the different modules that we are doing. So this is the workshop 1, there's workshop 1, and then workshop 2 is what we're doing today. So this is all the material that by the time we do workshop number 3, is that you would do all 3 of these different activities before workshop number 3, which is on the 28th of August. So that's 2 weeks' time. So try and do your pre-assessment first. That's just to give us a baseline of where you're at, what your understanding of the content is. Once you've done that, work through course 2 material that Matt has prepared for us for today. And once you've gone through all that and you've done your own exploring, if you could go ahead and do the post-assessment, which just helps us with evaluation of the course, just to see that understanding's taken place, so that we know where to start with workshop number 3. So that's pretty self-directed. We need everybody to kind of go through that material. Once you've completed the material, we then mark you automatically as present for the workshop, because not everyone's able to attend this online session, but some people are able to just do the online material in their own time. So as long as you've done the material and worked through the material and the assessments, we will mark you as present. So and then you will see your assessment, and then from this, doing the assessments, you accumulate your own, it will then, at the end of the course, the 6 workshops, you will get a certificate which you will be able to use for your SACE points at the end of the year. Okay, so that's just very quickly in a nutshell. If anybody's struggling with getting onto the eLearn platform, please contact me, so maybe we can organize a one-on-one on campus, or something that we can assist you. Okay, so from my side, that's all I have to share with you as far as the eLearn platform is concerned. So I'm going to hand over to Matt, who will guide us through his material for today. Okay. So
thanks, Cheryl. Welcome Abina, welcome Freeman. It's great to have Cheryl here as well, because she's a real whiz when it comes to coding. So I'm actually going to ask Cheryl if we can make this an interactive session today. I think there's an advantage that there's fewer numbers on this course, so we can make it a bit more valuable for you, Abina, and you, Freeman. And hopefully after today we can take some things away that we can use practically in the classroom, and get your kids on the journey to coding. So maybe I can just start and just ask you one at a time. Abina, if you want to go first, and just if you could outline if you've had any experience with coding, if you've done anything in the classroom, or whether this is brand new for you. Maybe just outline sort of where you are at the moment, experience-wise with coding.
You know what? I'm a manager at Tutuam Haole, but I do go to the classes.
Okay. And are your teachers aware of coding and aware of that sort of side of the curriculum?
Not yet.
Okay, great. And then Freeman, yourself, you mentioned grade sixes. Are you teaching yourself? And if so, have you introduced any coding yet into the classroom?
No, not yet. I haven't introduced, but we do have a relationship with Penryn. They are coming every Wednesday to teach. They took about 25 learners from my side to teach them coding, and that's only my experience, but I've never done such.
Okay, fantastic. All right, well, if I can just start then, I'm going to just share my screen. I'm just going to put the presentation that I put together, but we'll just talk around that today. And yeah, I'll leave that for you to explore in your own time. But I think just making sure you can see my screen. I see it's still sharing. Has it come on?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see it there. Okay, so you'll see on the e-learning platform that Cheryl just shared with you, when you log on, this will be under your workshop course material. And it's just, there's some introduction and some ideas here around coding, but I think it's probably just better for me to talk to it. So basically, I think the most important thing that we need to do at the moment in terms of coding, and obviously our government has come to that conclusion as well with the introduction of coding into the curriculum, is everything in our world is turning towards automation, artificial intelligence. Everything has got to do with code in some form or other, and the fact that lots of people have got smart devices nowadays, everything is working on code, and it's becoming the language of the future. And there's a couple of different languages when you talk about computing, but all the core principles of coding stay the same between the languages. So our role as educators is to initiate the way of thinking in terms of coding and how computers think. And in that way, we can get scholars to understand how to then put that into practice when they are creating programs and working through to ultimately be able to give instructions to computers or machines to be able to carry out the concepts that they want them to carry out. So maybe if I've got there under part one, it says the robots are coming. And I think what we need to do as a society, in order for us to be able to challenge other countries economically, is expose our children to coding and coding devices. And it's becoming easier and easier to be able to code. Obviously, poverty is a huge problem in our country, but there are loads of companies at the moment working on low data streaming applications that allow people to code, and there's obviously zero data devices coming out. So there's a lot of work going into making it available to people from all walks of life, which is great. And I think that's sort of where we are hoping that we can go in the future. But for the meantime, to stop our children, when these things become available, they've already got the basic core skills to implement them from a coding perspective. So it depends on resources. So fortunately at Penryn we have Wi-Fi and we have devices, but I'm aware that at other schools that's not the case. But there are, I know, Abina, you're probably not thinking that your staff are doing coding at the moment, but actually they probably are. When we talk about preschool coding, we're looking at things like sequencing. So being able to even count in order, being able to step from one block to the other block on the playground, being able to turn to a side and move forward. Those are all concepts of coding that come into making sure that we can progress onto what they call block coding, which I'm going to show you a little bit later. So the robots coming, just to talk about that whole new way of thinking as well. In America, there's a company, it's actually a South African guy called Elon Musk who moved to America. I don't know if you've heard of him. He started a company called SpaceX, and which is looking at sending people to space. This is a guy who grew up in South Africa and has massive dreams. He's also got cars, which are called Tesla cars, which are battery-operated cars, and they're also self-drive cars. So, in other words, the car can actually drive itself. And that's all based on coding and algorithms and using the data that's around the car to make decisions. And I'll just sort of elaborate on a self-drive car. So I want you to think about at the moment opportunities for a car that can drive itself. It can take itself to a station to get recharged by itself so that it can continue to drive. And you can think about this scenario in the future, that you would actually invest in one of these cars. And at the moment, if you invest in a car, it actually costs you money. You have to look after it, you have to maintain it, you have to put petrol into it, and it's actually a drain on resources. However, with the new self-drive cars, we could get to the stage where a car could actually be used to drop you off at your workplace, and you could actually send it out to be a taxi for the rest of the day to earn an income. So it would drop you off and it would go off by itself, and it would pick up, it would have mapping routes on a taxi. People could access that through their phones, and it would drop people off, and you would be able to get an income into your bank account. And you've set it to pick you up from work at 5 o'clock, so it knows at 5 o'clock it needs to come back to your work and fetch you and take you home. And then you could even program it to go and be a taxi for the rest of the evening. Now, I think that, in Africa, it maybe sounds a bit far-fetched at the moment. But the way the world is moving, it's amazing. And in America already, they have self-charging stations across all their different states. And I think these technologies are coming thick and fast. And hopefully it's not going to be too long before we can take advantage of those as well. However, saying all of that, the first thought of your mind might be, but if there's self-drive taxis, sort of what's going to happen to our taxi drivers? Because we won't need them anymore. And this is the point of where the world is going, is we might not need them anymore, but we would certainly need then the skills to be able to program those cars, to program all those algorithms specific to South Africa and how to work. So we need to get our children into a space where they can take advantage of those opportunities as they arise. So hopefully that wasn't too far-fetched, but I think it's good to be able to just talk about some of the possibilities that will become available with all the technology that's coming in. So what I'm going to do today, I think I'm just going to actually show you what I use, which is a website called code.org, which you can get access to. And I'm just going to flick across to it at the moment. Let me get that up on my screen. So there's a website called code.org, which is absolutely fantastic when we talk about coding and wanting to get some knowledge on coding as a teacher and an educator. And the nice thing is, if your educators have got access to Wi-Fi, which I think through your schools where you're sitting at the moment, they don't need long to be able to pull off ideas and lesson plans from this website. It's one of many websites. But code.org's mission is basically to provide free resources to anybody and everybody in the world. They want as many children to be exposed to coding, so that's why they let people access their resources for free. and I'm going to show you sort of to what depth they've gone to in terms of lesson planning. So for me, coming into coding, I really am, when I use code.org, I really am just a facilitator. And if I'm ever stuck, I just go back to this website and I have a look, and it really steps everything out for me step by step, and I go through it. So I've created myself a profile. So when you go to code.org, it asks you if you want to register as an educator, and you fill in your details just like you would register on any other website. So there's my details. You can see I'm signed in, and I will just go down and I'll have you look here. I add, so you can see the classrooms, the classes that I teach. I teach coding to grade 4, to grade 5, and to grade 6. And I've all got them on course C at the moment, which is just the appropriate course, I thought, for that age group. And we are going to work through each section week by day. Now, I know this might be a little bit different because we've got a computer lab at Penryn. I'm not sure if you've got computer labs at your schools. However, code.org is accessible on any smart device. It's also, what I really like about it is has lessons that do not require devices. So if your teachers are not going to be coding through devices, they can at least come onto this website and get some information on some what they call unplugged activities, which means that you don't need a device to teach that lesson. And I'm going to show you what that means. So I'm going to click on course C, and that's going to give me each lesson that has been assigned to this course one by one. So lesson 1, and then I'm going to show you what's so amazing about this website. So if I have a look to the right-hand side here, it's got view lesson plans. They've put absolutely everything together for the teachers here, and in detail. So if you have a look at the lesson plan that they've put up here, it's got the overview and agenda, a purpose and agenda. It's got your objectives, what preparation you need to do. Everything is stepped out one by one in the lesson plans. And if teachers want to see an overview of the unit, on the top right-hand corner is a complete overview of this course. It's got all the lesson plans and all the handouts. So any material that you want to hand out to your scholars is all available for your teachers to access. So I'm not sure if your teachers would be interested in using that, but for me it's quite a good step-by-step course, and it's obviously been thoroughly put together with all the different sections of coding. So if you have a look at the top headings, you've got a section for digital citizenship, which is basically telling us about the dangers of online and how to keep yourself safe. And then we move into the different coding courses, which is there's sequencing. We move down. There's a lesson on binary coding. There's lessons on loops, and this is all technology is used in coding. And then there's lessons on events. And so it takes them through each section step by step, and there is a full lesson plan for every lesson. And you'll notice that some of them have got unplugged activities, which means that your teachers don't need the children to participate on the internet. They can actually print those events out and do the lessons live in class. So the one lesson that I've put onto your spreadsheet on your workflow is an unplugged lesson that they could use, and I'm just going to go into that lesson for you. Actually, sorry, let me just go here. I might be going a bit quick here. So you have a look here. This is a lesson that is basically teaching children how to order instructions and how to give instructions clearly. And I've put that on. So I think this would be more sort of relevant for the grade 6 level. But there are other lessons that are unplugged that are more suited for preschool. And obviously, we just need to find out the level of where your children are. But all the resources are added on the right-hand side. So if I click on any of those, it's going to give me access to the actual lesson planning, but also any of the resources that go with this. So this is a cup stacking lesson that I put on. I have linked a video to the worksheet to be able to watch a teacher actually giving a full lesson on how this works. And the basic gist of this is that children are in groups, and they can have cups, or they can have cut out paper cups. So the resources, if you just got paper, is fine. You can make these. And basically what the children have to do is you give them different patterns of the cups that they need to stack, and then they need to give themselves instructions and write out the instructions using arrows to the right and arrows that go up and down. And you've got ideas of stacking, but I'm not going to go fully into that. I have put a video on there for a lesson of coding, and I think it was just a taster of the kind of things that you can do in terms of unplugged lessons and using some of the resources that you have. Also, from a preschool perspective, I've done lessons before with chalk on the floor and drawing blocks and getting children to try and make their way to a certain destination, which is great, using steps, and they need to at first count how many steps they're taking, and then eventually we get them to the point where they can actually tell you whether they need to take forward steps and sideways steps. And as they get older, you can then go on to forward steps, turning right, forward steps, to get to whatever you've drawn on the floor for them to walk a maze. Cheryl, I think maybe if you can come in there and just, from an integration perspective, I'm just thinking about from a preschool perspective, in terms of integrating coding into basic numeracy and literacy lessons. If you've got any advice there from a preschool angle.
Yeah. Well, your suggestions that you gave in the beginning regarding preschool and how it's actually very easy to integrate the concept of coding in ECD, because you're using all the mathematical skills that you refer to. You've got your sequencing of numbers, you've got your sequencing of colors, you can use pictures, you can use little dance sequences, the game of you can use games like hopscotch, you could use board games. You could simplify the concept of chess. You could simplify that to something that preschoolers could do. So it's all the different types of games and play, as we would see it in preschool. That concept is to embrace that concept as a lifelong learning skill, because I think when we get to big school, we seem to think that children don't need that anymore, and that is all good right through to adulthood, to keep the concept of play, to keep your brain thinking and computing in the sense. But yeah, so a nice, even recipes in baking, you can do following instructions, cut a banana, cut an apple, mix it together, now you've got fruit salad. So it's all that kind of thing, following instructions. And then to extend it a little bit more, in terms of saying, when I clap twice, I want you to stand on one foot. When I clap 3 times, I want you to put your hands in the air. So give more than one instruction. So it's teaching children to listen, to process, and yeah, those are all skills that you'll see coming through in the coding and robotics curriculum. It's teaching children how to be good citizens in terms of the digital realm. I mean, a lot of our preschool kids are very familiar with using a digital device. So it's just teaching all that, what we call netiquette, etiquette, and we change netiquette. It's teaching them what is good, good skills for being on the internet. So it's taking that curriculum. I think the draft is accessible to everybody. I'll actually share it on the WhatsApp group, the draft curriculum of the digital and robotics, and just go through that. There's so many things that we are already doing. So yeah, from an ECD, lots of just things we're already doing, but allowing the children to think for themselves is a big thing as well. We're so used to telling them all the knowledge. We want them to find the knowledge out for themselves, to explore, to discover, challenge them. Those are all good processing skills for coding and robotics. Yeah.
Thanks, Cheryl. And then Freeman, I don't know, do your scholars have any access to be able to access something like code.org?
No, not yet. We don't have a computer lab, but at least now we do have Wi-Fi in school.
Okay, so you've got Wi-Fi and hopefully 1 or 2 devices could come through eventually in terms of that.
Yes.
So what I would then encourage is for your staff members who might have access to the computer you're sitting at or what have you to actually start doing the code.org courses themselves. So if you have a look, once I start getting onto the actual programming side, it's set out very nicely. I'll give you an example here. You can still see my screen. So we're going on to programming Angry Birds. So it actually gives a video explanation before the course starts.
Today, we're going to learn to program using a drag-and-drop language called Blockly. Blockly uses colorful instructions called blocks to build programs that you can use to solve puzzles. Under the hood, you're still creating code. Each puzzle you'll solve with code is split into 4 main parts. On the left is the play area, where your program will run. In the center, you will see the toolbox area that holds all the blocks that you will need for each puzzle. To the right is your workspace, where you will drag blocks to build your program. Finally, above the workspace, you will see the specific instructions for each puzzle. Don't worry if you accidentally drag out a block that you don't need. If you have an extra block, simply drag it back into the toolbox to put it away. After you hit run, you can always hit the reset button to get your character back to the start so you can try again.
Okay, so that's just an example of the kind of introduction videos to each course. And once I push continue, it then take your staff through a maze where you have to solve a coding program. So this is initially what this program would have looked like. So if you have a look on the left-hand side over here, that is the maze that you have to solve. I need to get this bird to get to the pig without hitting the dynamite, which is at the top here. So this is one of the first lessons, one of the first actual coding lessons in the C program, which is for the level of about grade 4 and grade 5. And then we have different programs as well, or different courses that they've put together. On the top left-hand side, or in the middle here, you've also got the Angry Bird with a light bulb. So they can click on that, and it asks if they'd like a hint. And you can push yes, and it will it'll tell you what you need to do, or give you a clue. So this says make sure all of the blocks have been fully snapped together, and then click run and see if your program works. So in order for my bird to go from here to here, maybe one of you can help me on what code would I need to put in to get the bird to go to the pig. Any idea? Bina, would you know what I'd need to do?
I'm still looking.
Freeman's
Okay.
raised his hand, Matt.
Freeman?
Yes, I think you need to move right.
Okay, so I need to move right, correct. Okay, so you can see what are the options it's given me here. It just says move forward. Okay, and we can see, remember the important thing when moving forward, and this is sort of why it's important for your teachers to start using these programs or just going through it themselves. Remember, it's all free as long as they can get access to Wi-Fi and a computer. Because one of the things you learn quickly with these kind of programs is moving forward means that you move the way that your character is looking. So when I'm teaching the grade R's, for instance, I'm always emphasizing about what does move forward mean. Move forward means that whatever way I'm looking, if you ask me to move forward, I'm going to move forward in the way that I'm looking. So here we can see that the bird is already facing the pig. So I need to move forward. So I'm going to move forward. So I'm going to take this block over here, and I'm going to join on to this orange block. Now, the reason this is orange is because there's a run button at the bottom here. This starts my program when I click on here. I haven't clicked on it yet. And when I click on here, whatever is attached to when run block, it will then execute whatever's underneath it. So at the moment it says when run, he's going to move forward, which is what we want to do, right, Freeman? We want to move forward. You happy with that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's see what happens when we push run. Okay, so he moved forward, but he didn't quite get to the pig. So what do you think we need to do? Freeman, you seem to be a wizard at this, so maybe you can help me.
I think the only thing that we need to do is to count maybe the distance.
Perfect, exactly. So he's gone one move forward and he didn't quite get there, correct?
Yes.
So we're going to then add another move forward. Are you happy with that?
Yes.
Should we do that? Okay. So Bina, this is where, the counting and the blocks with the preschool become so important, because when they understand, if I've drawn blocks on cement with my pieces of chalk, understanding that if I've got 3 blocks in a row and I've put an apple in the last block and I'm standing outside the blocks, how many blocks will I have to move to get to the apple? Well, I have to move 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3. And so those sort of basic concepts, once they're done in the preschool, moving through to grade 1, 2, and 3, by the time they get to interact on a program like this, they're understanding how many blocks they need to move forward. What does move forward mean? What does turn to the right? What does turn to the left? So that's where it becomes important from a preschool foundation phase level. And then obviously Freeman, if those gaps are missing with your senior primary scholars, you're going to have to start with that to get them used to understanding how the coding works. So let's reset it now. We've changed our code to say that when we click run, he's going to move forward twice. Okay, let's see what happens. 1, 2, completed the code. Okay. Now we used blocks in this with instructions on. Sorry, let me just go back to that one. We used blocks, but actually what we're doing in this program is on the right-hand corner here. That is actually what each block stands for. Now you'll notice that looks a bit funny in terms of what it says. It says move forward, and there's a bracket, and then there's those commas that are put next to it. So actually what that block stands for is that writing that you see in front of us there. And that is what a coding language is. And basically, a coding language it would be like speaking Siswati or Afrikaans or German. It's a language that scholars have to learn to be able to communicate with computers. But we need to get the thinking of how to sequence and put things in order before we actually teach them how to learn how to type in code. And so that's why these things have been made quite simple for us in the beginning to get to understand the way of thinking of coding. So Abina, do you think you'll be able to do the next puzzle for us?
Yes, I'll continue.
Okay, should we give it a try?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. Right, so if you can see Abina on the left-hand side, so there's your bird, and there is your pig. What would you like me to do? Where do you think the bird has to move? Or which way?
The bird, let me check first. The bird will move forward.
Okay, move forward. So you want to put one of these there, huh? Okay, so let's link that there. Move forward. All right.
Yes.
Should we see what that does? Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so the bird moved forward, but it didn't quite get to the pig.
Yes.
So what are other options be here?
I think the bird must move 3 steps forward.
3 steps. Okay, great. So how many have we got here? We've just got one, haven't we? Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to go move forward, and move forward. Are you happy with that?
Yes.
Okay, so we can see here, when we push the run button, the bird is going to move forward 1 step, move forward 1 step again, and move forward 1 step again. So, here we go. Let's see. Fantastic. Well done, Abina. We've completed that puzzle. And so it takes them through step by step. You can see at the top here how many levels this particular lesson 4 has got. Okay, it's got a couple of different levels, and it goes all the way through to the end. And we can also see that there are a whole lot of lessons in this course. It goes all the way to lesson number 18, I think it is, right at the end of the course. And lesson 18 is where they're actually creating their own game as well, which is fantastic. So why I'm saying this to you is because once you have the ability to connect through a smartphone, you can actually, as an educator, you could set up scholars for free on this website. And I think those scholars that have an aptitude for coding can then go along and they can actually navigate and educate themselves as long as they've got access to data, or a phone. So I'll just show you here how detailed this is. So here are my grade 4 students. So I'm going to click on that. Okay. So can you have a look at my students here on the left-hand side? Can you guys see that?
Yes.
And now I'm going to click on progress at the top here, and it's going to show you exactly how my students have progressed so far. So I can see here that Nati has completed all of these different levels, and I can see that lesson 11 she hasn't quite finished, and lesson 12 she hasn't quite finished. So it gives me a whole progress report on where each scholar is, and it also helps me navigate and help them when they are stuck. So I can see that Tando was pretty stuck on lesson number 5, so I need to probably go to Tando and ask her if I can help there, or I can have a look at what exactly was Tando stuck on. Was she stuck on sequencing? In which case I need to spend a little bit of time with Tando, maybe doing some concrete work with her outside, making her step forward onto blocks so that she can get the understanding of that lesson. I think the start for you would be on code.org, and like I said, there's lots of free resources out there. I just think it can be quite confusing for teachers sometimes. So my suggestion would be for your teachers who are going to be involved in coding to get onto code.org and register themselves as a teacher. It's for free, and start working through the programs one at a time, and actually doing the courses themselves. And that's going to give them a good general understanding of what is going to be required in the long run. And then they can obviously work their lesson plans out to incorporate stuff that they know the children are going to encounter when they get access to be able to start coding. So yeah, I don't know if that helps at all, or whether you would like to use that resource, but Abina, you and Freeman seemed pretty keen there on completing those puzzles. So if anything, it definitely has a different way of thinking about it, and it actually can when we look at the research of coding and the benefits that it has for mathematics, literacy, a different way of thinking, creativity, all of that comes into the benefits of coding itself. And obviously the biggest advantage of coding is at the moment in the USA, there are 1 million jobs that they cannot fill because there are not enough people who understand how to do coding. So there's opportunities in terms of the workplace when we look at coding as well. So what I want to ask you to do is have a look through the template that I sent to you. My email, I am on the group as well. But I think what we probably need to do, Cheryl, is maybe I've put some links to resources as well that you can have a look at on this template. But maybe what we can do with you guys is you can even send me a specific grade that you would like me to have a look at, and I can send you some resources specific to that grade, because I wasn't quite sure of what grades we'd be looking at, but it looks like we've got a variety here. And then I could send you some ideas specific to your individual grades or your teachers and help them with the introduction of coding with your children, depending on your resources as well. So yeah, I think that's it for me for now. Cheryl, I don't know if there's anything you want to add.
Thanks so much for sharing with us, Matt. As I did put in the comments that code.org is a free platform. So go ahead and create an account for yourself and play around with it and just explore. The only way we're going to learn is to explore. So do that. And like Matt says, on the actual content notes, which you will find on the eLearn platform. So if you do struggle to get onto the eLearn platform, please contact me. I'm very happy to meet with you one-on-one. If you come into campus and we can just go through it if you're wanting to. Unfortunately, we are not able to gather as a group, but I'm very happy to meet with you one-on-one, just to help you to get onto the eLearn platform and go through everything. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. I think it's user friendly. But if you're needing a little bit, we will share this, a copy of this workshop that we've done today, where we've done a little bit of a demo of how to get onto the eLearn platform, and then you will be able to access all Matt's notes. There's lots of ideas to share there, different links, different videos. Use YouTube as well. There's just a huge amount of information on the internet about coding and robotics. So be curious, have a learning mindset, and explore. I know at Vukasambe we've been working a lot with robotics, so come along to those lessons. I think it's not Freeman, it's Pumalelo. Come along to those lessons and just get some ideas there as well. And you just adapt, you just look at the different things that's out there. Even with the whole code.org, you pick up lessons and you can adapt it to fit what your children are doing in your classes, and adapt the different things, like hopscotch. It's such a simple activity that everybody knows and understands, but you can use the concept of coding through that platform. So I think thank you, Matt. That was great. I think it was quite inspiring. I can see smiles on Abina's face. Yes. So if you keep and communicate on the WhatsApp group as well. It's open. We've left it open for everybody just to ask questions and to learn. We can share some more ideas if you're stuck through the group. So we want you to engage with us. We want you to interact. So please feel free to do that. Is there any questions anybody's got that you want to ask? Abina?
If I can have a laptop, but I don't know how to use a laptop, so are you going to teach me how to learn through laptops?
Okay. Abina, you got my number, right?
Yes.
Please connect with me, and if you can come to Penreach onto our campus, and we can meet, and we've got lots of I see Wandile is here on the line with us, in the room with us. I have lots of helpers, hands, knowledge people that can assist with coaching you. So connect with me, and we will definitely coach you and show you.
Okay.
And I think it's also that would be great to pick up those skills, Bina. But it's also important just to know that people that are busy teaching coding and want our scholars to be exposed to coding have also realized that in terms of Africa and devices, not everybody might have a laptop, but we're certainly getting to the point where people have access to phones. The fact that you guys are on your phones right now, and we're on our phones, is just testament to that. So a lot of the actual resources that are coming out in terms of coding at the moment are all able to be done on a phone, which I think is great, because it's going to let our children have access to those and start getting the thinking and the ways of thinking that needs to happen. But please take advantage and go and visit Cheryl. That team there is amazing. They will help you and coach you along with that as well. I see Timbani's got a question. Go for it, Timbani. I think you're on mute, Timbani. You just want to unmute. You should be able to, if you click, Timbani, if you click your little microphone with a cross through it there. I don't know. There we go.
Okay, thanks, Elaine.
No problem.
I want to know, am I gonna get those lessons on the e-learn?
Are you going to get
The code.org lesson.
yes,
the
yes.
lessons.
Yes, you will.
So what happened, Timbani, that the document that I had up, which is I can't show it to you now because I'm not sharing my screen, but on there is a link to code.org, which is the website that I was on now, which you would need to sign up for, which is free for you to sign up for. So if you personally want to go through those coding lessons one by one, which I think is a good idea, the link to that is in the document, which you can find through the e-learning platform. So once you're on the e-learning platform, you'll go to workshop number 2, and you'll have a look at the resources there, and my document is there. And on that document, you'll see code.org.
Okay, thanks. I will check on it. Thank you.
And Timbani, if you struggle to get onto the e-learn platform, just reach out to me and I can assist you.
Okay, thanks, Karen. I will.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, then I think we're gonna call it a day, and I'm hoping that you can all go straight to the e-learn platform now and go and see if you can access and let me know, and I can assist. I'm available to assist you this morning, so just shout out on the WhatsApp group or message me directly and I'll be able to assist you.
Please, if you're battling to sign up onto code.org, please just, you've got my numbers also on that group number. Let me know and I can help you register and get you on your journey to becoming computer programmers yourself. Who knows? You might be the ones programming the next rocket to take us all to space. We don't know.
Take me with.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Matt.
Right.
Thanks for
Thanks,
sharing
everybody.
with us.
Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Ngikababuta ukuthi ikwesini yami ukuthi lesandla sami sawusuka nini lapho. Edorot buke imagine uyafundisa yini ukuthi yabo kubona umbhede la. Labafundi lapha. Sabasibhalelisile sebahambile angithi. Seyiphelile le workshop angithi.